When bad things happen, as they always do, I think it's just human nature for us to look for somebody to blame, to look for an enemy, to look for somebody to be scared of. And it's really easy to be tempted to listen to the powerful about who is to blame, who the enemy is, and who we should be scared of. We've been hearing year after year that it's immigrants that should be blamed, and that we should ignore the fact they look and sound just like our brothers and sisters, just like our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents. Or we're told to blame labor unions and to ignore the fact that they've been fighting tooth and nail decade after decade for our brothers and sisters and for our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents. Or to blame working class people and to ignore the fact that the bounty of our city and our country have been built on their backs for little and sometimes for no pay at all. And we're told this story and expected to buy it. And our compliance is built on this fear and on this story. And even though I was somewhat skeptical of this movement, as it began, I've started to see the faces and the people come out, and say that we aren't buying anymore and that we aren't scared. Are you guys scared?
No!
And what we've seen in Oakland is that after police tactics and after intimidation, instead of acting with fear, people have come out with fearlessness and stood out strong. And people are closing their bank accounts and people are going out into the streets. And we aren't blaming each other anymore. We aren't pointing the fingers at immigrants or working class people. We're starting to point the finger in the right direction.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're out here saying that the rich are getting richer, everybody else is getting poorer, and it's got to stop.
Buenas tardes, muchas gracias porque nos
Hey
invitaron.
everybody, his name is Fernando Adame. I'm really honored and proud to be here in front of you all. Just wanted to start off saying that I bet these bankers and the few rich that are just trying to get richer didn't know the big problem they had on their hands when they started messing with us.
Creo que ellos nunca pensaron que íbamos a hacer miles.
And I bet they didn't know how many thousands and millions of us would come out against them. When they try to blame us and say that we're messing things up, immigrants taking jobs, really it's them that melted down the economy and are taking all the jobs. On May Day 2006, we held a day without an immigrant all across the country. We stopped buying things, we stopped working, and we showed them that it was them that needed us, not us that needed them. So now we're starting to see that the banks are starting to get scared. We're seeing them back off of their fees. Just like 2006, the people are rising back up again to remind them of the lesson that they learned back in 2006. On Saturday, Fernando says he's going to be out there at Bank of America to close his bank account and pull all 3 of his dollars out of there. And go to Wells Fargo, close that bank account, pull 3 more dollars out. But if thousands and millions of us get together and pull our money out of those banks, they're going to feel the pain.
That's right.
So let's keep fighting fearlessly together all across the United States, shoulder to shoulder. Doesn't matter if you're an immigrant, your color, race, class. We're going to fight and we're going to win.
¿Qué queremos? Justicia. ¿Cuándo? Ahora. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Now. Let's roll. Austin. Austin. Occupy. Austin. We are all Oakland. 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 We are the 99%. Whose streets?
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. Unite. We'll never be defeated. People united. We'll never be defeated. People united. People united. We'll never be defeated. Our streets. Our streets. Our city hall.
Bernardino Lucian Villaseñor, senior at the University of Texas. Last Sunday, 37 of my friends and myself were arrested while we were peacefully assembling. I explained to the police officers, with my pocket constitution in hand, we have the right to be here. This is protected under the First Amendment. Moments later, I was zip-tied and put on a bus on the way to jail. While I was being frisked, an officer asked me, "You're one of those Occupy guys, right?" I said, "I guess." "And you're all out there because you're against corporate greed, right?" I said, "I'm out there because we students are sold a lie. We grow up hearing go to college, take out all the loans you need, there'll be a great job waiting for you when you get out. The truth is that reality doesn't exist. Rick Perry says he created 250,000 jobs, but he won't tell you those jobs are in the service industry, where wages are low and benefits are few. That's why I'm out there protesting. He replied, but the rest of y'all are out there because y'all are against corporate greed, right? Considering it was 3 in the morning and my rights were being violated, I decided I wasn't going to waste my energy debating a police officer. When I was in my cage, all I could do was think and sleep. So I thought, now that I'm out, I'm going to tell you about the police. What happened last Sunday morning was a misappropriation of taxpayer dollars and resources. While this city wastes money arresting innocent citizens, school closures are put back on the table, and we are underfunding social services like Planned Parenthood and Head Start. The police as an institution will always be opposed to our goals because their purpose is to maintain the status quo. They don't solve the actual sources of crime, such as poverty, mental health, domestic violence, racism, sexism, etc. The role of the police in this capitalist system is to maintain the inequalities of class and wealth and justice. I hope everyone realizes after last Sunday that we can't maintain police neutrality when they're trampling on our rights and attacking us in our occupation. If they come to arrest us again, we have to link up arms and not let them take us away. When we crowd the jails, we have to sing chants while we're waiting in booking. Perhaps students need to protect our occupation space with a book block, like our brothers and sisters in Chile and across the planet who are fighting for free education. Don't believe peace and love will stop this capitalist system. We have to get out in the streets and throw our bodies against it, or let it continue to degrade our freedoms and liberties. The choice is yours.
To what happened in Oakland today. We saw an incredible show of workers' power today. It's going to go on through the night. We don't know, but it's quite possible that the port of Oakland, in which billions of dollars worth of freight passes through every day, is going to be shut down tonight. And we know it is shut down. Along with teachers, civil servants, all the people who heeded the call to go out, not go to work today, to stand up to what happened in Oakland last week. And I announced this earlier, but the reports is that you had thousands of us on the streets and no cops. So it's a real lesson on how we can fight back with our solidarity.
Might have been, and I'm proud to be a union electrician.
Yeah.
You know, there's a little saying we have in the labor movement. It's like a pencil. You can easily break one pencil, but if you try to grab 50 pencils and break them, you can't do it. And that's the way we need to stand together. And they're going to do everything in their power to break our unity, including the use of law enforcement, which has been used to break up more strikes. If you know your labor history, then you can count. We have to keep our focus on what we're here for and keep our unity in the face of adversity, and we will prevail. Thank you very much.
There you go. Happened in Oakland last week was the felling of our comrade, this whole movement, Scott Olsen, the two-time, two-tour Iraq War veteran who was shot point blank in the head by a projectile by Oakland police. It really has sort of shocked the world and I think kind of exposed what is really going on out here.
This is what we're fighting for.
The police say that they cleared the demonstrators using non-lethal force, but a tear gas canister can be lethal if it hits you in the face. If you doubt that the police were deliberately aiming at the protesters, watch this policeman when a group of protesters attempt to come to the aid of the injured person.
What happened? What happened?
You got hit. You got shot.
What's your name?
Wake up.
What's your name?
Thankfully, there's been a very incredible response to it. Not only, I think, the outpouring of support for Scott, but also I think it's also galvanized a number of our veterans who have sympathized with this movement to come out today. I'm very proud to report as part of this day of action that 100 veterans marched in New York City today to show their support for the Occupy Wall Street.
I was once a soldier at Fort Hood, Texas. Now my job is helping out at Under the Hood Cafe, a pro-soldier, anti-war coffee house, located right outside the base. I put in most of my free time working to organize service members to know, no matter if they wear a uniform, they still have a voice. They have a voice when it comes to their right to heal from trauma. They have a voice to say no to these wars. They have a voice to fight back against war profiteers. I stand firmly with all of you, as many other veterans who recently took a stand in solidarity to the Occupy movement. As I stand with you, so did a fellow member of Iraq Veterans Against the War. His name, Scott Olsen. Scott came home after 2 long tours in Iraq. He returned safely to only receive a traumatic brain injury on the streets of Oakland, an injury commonly sustained by many service members in combat. He did not receive this from combat, but simply exercising his First Amendment right to protest, a right he once swore an oath to protect. Just a few days ago, at Occupy Austin, 3 out of the 38 arrestees were veterans.
Yep.
Today, 100 of the veterans of the 99% and Iraq Veterans Against the War marched at Occupy Wall Street. What is the significance of this? That veterans are taking notice. They went to war and did not just confront an enemy, but corporations.
Yep.
We call them contractors. It even sounds nicer. In reality, they are multi-billion-dollar corporations. Who pays the bills? We do, the 99%.
Yep.
Who dies from war profiteers? Soldiers do. What do soldiers receive when they come home from war? The highest rate of unemployment, homelessness, and suicide rate in the country. Currently, over 21.9% of Afghanistan and Iraq veterans between the age 18 and 24 are unemployed. Over twice the national average, and overall close to 15% of all Afghanistan and Iraq veterans are unemployed. The situation is far worse for women and African American veterans who face even higher unemployment rates.
Unacceptable!
I can only feel a sense of gratitude towards the veterans and civilians alike taking a stand against corporations that have hijacked, in many different ways, our lives. It may be days, months, maybe even years before we win, but we will. Yeah. We are the 99%, and the odds are 99 to 1. From now on, we take the streets. When we march, we do not need a permit. We do not need a police escort. We need to stay in the streets.
We are the 99%. We are the 99%. We are the 99%. We are the 99%. Whose streets? Our streets. Whose streets? Our streets. Our streets. Our streets.
Whose streets?
Our streets.
Whose streets?
Our streets. Whose streets? Our streets. Show me what democracy looks like. We are the 99%. 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 Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop. Say what? Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop. Say what? Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop. Say what? Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop. Banks got bailed out! We got sold out!
Get down. Let's not.
First, they ignore you. Then they laugh at you. Then they fight you. Then you win.
I heard him say the revolution won't be televised. Al Jazeera proved him wrong. Twitter has him paralyzed.